It's Monday morning. Time to go to work. Blue-collar worker, time to wake up and roll. Get that coffee in your system, get your mind and your soul. Boots by the doorway, hard hat riding shotgun. Sun ain't even up yet, but the day's already begun. Steel toes hit the gravel, cold air fills your lungs. Another day to build it right, another job to get done. No shortcuts taken, no easy road we choose. We earn every dollar, got too much pride to lose. Get that coffee and hit the road, no delay, no slowing down. Another job, another load, we're the backbone of this town. Get to the site and get to working, hands in motion, engines turning, making America great again. With sweat and grit we're earning, breaking down the old and failing, building strength that won't give in. From the ground up, never trailing, making America great again. Desk or office space for us, no climate control routine. We work in dirt, steel and concrete, where real lives lived and seen. Using our heads, hands and backs, every move has got a cost. Measure cuts and steady hands, no room for getting lost. Blueprints in the morning light, changing plans by noon, solving problems on the fly, getting it done real soon. Weather don't stop nothing, rain, cold, or blazing heat. We show up ready every day and stand on our own 2 feet. Get that coffee and hit the road, no delay, no slowing down. Another job, another load, we're the backbone of this town. Get to the side and get to working, hands in motion, engines turning, making America great again. With sweat and grit we're earning, breaking down the old and failing, building strength that won't give in. From the ground up, never trailing, making America great again. Building the new infrastructure to hold the future, laying down the work that time won't erase. Building up again, from sending rockets to housing the many every place. From highways stretching miles and miles to homes where families grow. We don't just build for today, we build for years we'll never know. You see it when you drive by, steel going up, concrete being poured. That's us. That's blue collar, building a newer, stronger foundation, rising higher every day, building stronger, higher and better. We don't back down or fade away, making America great again. Every beam and every stone, we don't just build the country, we build a place called home. Blue-collar worker, time to get up and go. Boots on the ground.
All right.
Let's go to work.
All right. Good morning once again, my hardworking brothers and sisters of the Blue Collar Sunrise. This is Bubba coming to you live from this side of the coffee cup. Where's that coffee cup? Right here. Got the old coffee cup. Waiting another minute or two before I get that first sip. Coming to you from this side of the hard hat. I'm not wearing one today. I've got work to do around the house. This side of another Monday morning opportunity. And somewhere out there beyond the digital ridgeline is Clariforia, smiling through the veil of wisdom, wit, and enough common sense to keep a country boy pointed in the right direction. She's always helps me get these shows together. I type in a string of ideas and she starts organizing it for me, and then we type back and forth and she helps me out getting this stuff ready. Couldn't do it without her. Well, sun ain't quite rising, but it's probably getting close to peeking up over the horizon. The sky might be turning a little red. The highways are starting to fill up. I know that for a fact. Crews are waking up and getting ready to go to work. And another week of Building America is underway. Some of you are headed toward shutdowns. Some of you are in the demolition business, going to knock down some old power plants, buildings, any type of infrastructure. And some of it's been around for 100 years, needs to come down so we can rebuild. Some of us are headed toward the fabrication shops, cutting steel, welding the beams, getting it prefabbed for the job sites. Some of us are headed toward the road projects. Got one going on where I live at. Guys out there every day. The electric company is out moving the power poles and the communication poles so they can widen the road, building new bridges, widening the roadway, prepping the road bed. I can see them every Monday morning when I go for a walk, having their safety meeting. And some of us are headed toward construction sites that are already making noise before daylight. And that's exactly where today's conversation begins. Let's start the week the right way, the way we always do: safe, timely, and efficient. And today's reminder comes from Built from Within. Skill is earned in repetition. You know, everybody wants skill. Everybody admires the master craftsman, the master of the machine who can cut a grade. Seems like he does it by magic. I've been on job sites where they've used GPS, but you still got to be able to set the blade. You still got to be able to make the cut. You got to be able to do the work, and that comes through repetition. Guy says, I can do that, and he jumps on the machine, and he has to goof it up until he gets it right. But everybody respects the person who can make difficult things look easy. And you know them. I know them. Expert welders, mechanics. But What most people fail to see is the repetition behind the performance. The welder, that guy didn't become skilled on the first bead. And that carpenter, he didn't become skilled on the first cut. No, that ain't the way it works. The equipment operator didn't become skilled on the first machine. Even outside of construction, the musician didn't become skilled on the first chord. Skill is earned through repetition. The same task, the same motion, the same discipline. Repeated hundreds, if not thousands of times. Over and over again. Repeated, repeated, repeated until competence becomes confidence. And confidence becomes craftsmanship. Construction workers understand this better than most because every trade rewards practice. The person who keeps showing up, keeps learning, keeps improving, eventually separates themselves from the crowd. The lesson applies far beyond the job sites. Good habits are repetition. Leadership is repetition. Safety is repetition. Character is repetition. You don't rise to excellence, you repeat your way there. This week, remember, the things you practice daily eventually become the things you're known for. Think about that. If you're known as a mechanic, you fix something for somebody. You've taken something that was not running right and made it run good. And somebody say, "Hey, old Johnny, he took care of my truck. You ought to talk to him to see if he's got time to work on yours." And that comes with a great deal of responsibility. You know, if an old boy's got a work truck that's giving him trouble and he relies on it to get him back and forth to work so he can provide for his family, then and you take on that challenge to get that truck running right, that's a huge responsibility that you're taking on to help him ensure that he can provide for his family. And in return, you help him provide a better life for his. It's all about the giving and the taking. That's what we do every day. So, repetition. You know, if you go back and look at some of these older videos, you could see that I'm somewhat less organized. Excuse me. Somewhat less organized, and it looks a little rougher. And in the future, I expect that it'll get better and better. The script, the dialogue, the monologue for now, the dialogue. It reminds me. Say good morning. Send me a chat. Let me know you're out there. Let me know you're watching. I'd like to hear from you. If you've got something you want to add to you want to add to the conversation, please do. It sure makes it easier for the host. That's me. Anyway, keep up the good work. And repetition, just not. Somebody once said that 90% of being a professional, an expert, is just showing up, just showing up, being there. Uh, One day, you're the guy who's doing something that nobody else wants to do, but you're there and you're doing what nobody else wants to do. And then with enough repetition and time put into it, you're doing something that nobody else can do. So, uh, I got a little quote here. It says here, mastery isn't magic, it's repeated effort nobody applauded until the results become impossible to ignore. And that's tough. That's a tough thing to do. I don't care what you do. If you're a welder, a carpenter, a truck driver, a machine operator, uh, a podcaster, um, you've got to put in the time and the effort consistently until you become a master, a proficient performer that you can't be ignored any longer. Presentation, ability to get along with others, all that stuff adds up. But the main thing is, you've met him, the old grumpy guy that's a master carpenter. He won't. You can't hardly get anything out of him. He'll bark at you from time to time, and every now and then he'll give you some practical insights to help you along. But he's a master, and if you can break that hard shield he's got around him, and touch that core of him, you'll be blessed with his sharing his knowledge and knowledge and expertise with you. So anyway, that's the theme of the day. Skill is earned in repetition. So get out there when you get to work today and you're thinking, oh man, here I go cutting forms for this concrete pour. Here I go again, bending rebar and being a rod cutter. Oh man, here I go. Got to go out here and scrap this iron, cut it up to ship it off, get it on a truck. I've seen guys that could burn like you would not believe. They just magically knew how to do it. It seemed like that boy can burn. Me being in the demolition business, we've always got guys burning beams and machinery and everything else, cutting it into sizes where we can get it onto trucks to ship it out to scrap. And even young men in their late 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, get recognized as a expert burner, expert torchman, do their job well. And I've done it before. I've selected a young man who demonstrated proficiency in burning, and I needed 15 burners on a job. And I made him a supervisor. I said, you get out there and I want you to train these guys on how you do your work. And that's what I want you to do. You can hold a torch when you need to, but your main job is to make sure that they're doing all the preparatory work. They're maintaining their equipment. They recognize types of material they're cutting, and they're wearing their PPE appropriately. And, you make sure you got plenty of gases to keep the work going along. And he flourished. And today, I think he's even a broader supervisor with a lot more responsibility. But anyway, get after it, stay with it, and you'll become the master. All right. The next thing I want to talk about this morning is, there's a standard in the OSHA that requires continuing education. And every week on the show, we talk about Toolbox Talks, and I have another channel right there that its sole purpose is toolbox topics and OSHA training, but most everything that I present on that channel can be presented as a toolbox topic, safety topic, and I always make an effort to provide the script and the description so that you can copy and paste it and use those. But anyway, here's the thing. Toolbox Talks and the OSHA continuing education. We want to focus on a question that many workers and supervisors ask. A lot of times is, why do we keep having toolbox talks? And the answer is simple. Because safety isn't a one-time event. It's a continuous learning process. Most OSHA standards require employers to train workers when hazards exist and when employees need knowledge to work safely. I've been around a long time. Some of you guys been in the demolition or the construction trades for a long time. Here comes the safety guy every Monday morning. And he says, we're going to talk about blah, blah, blah today. And you go, oh, God, I've heard it 10,000 times. Hey, you've been around a while. There's some young guys there that have never heard this information. And as the lesson goes on, the toolbox talk goes on, you might learn something new yourself, or you might have something to add. So don't look at it as, oh, God, another toolbox. Look at it as a learning opportunity, an opportunity to develop a relationship with your newer co-workers and develop camaraderie and be a part of the team. But anyway, documented toolbox talks help satisfy part of that continuing education process. And why is that? Because they provide ongoing hazard awareness and refresher training for you old timers. It could have a discussion of recent incidences. It could include changes in procedures, and those happen. OSHA may have a standard written along the lines of respiratory protection, and over time there's been some investigations on some injuries or some mishaps, and it has led to some more effective ways to protect the men out there, either through procedures or equipment. But those changes could be broadcast in a toolbox safety topic. And there's also, you could be talking about seasonal hazards, slips, trips, and falls, icy conditions, heat-related illnesses, and also lessons learned. If you had a mishap on your job or a potential hazard that was an incident or accident that was narrowly avoided, narrowly avoided, you could talk about that and help protect others from falling into that same trap. So there's a lot of things that could be broadcast during one of those meetings. And when you document those meetings properly, toolbox talks create a record that training occurred. Now, training, it needs to be more than just a note in the supervisor's report, daily report. It needs to have a really a sign-in sheet and a copy of the topic covered, and it would include the date, what the topic was, the instructor, and the attendees along with their signatures. But here's the important part. The goal isn't paperwork. The goal is keeping people alive and healthy. The sign-in sheet isn't the value. The conversation is the value. 5-minute discussion that prevents one injury may be the most valuable meeting held all week. If safety isn't built once, it's reinforced repeatedly, just like skill. And I say it all the time. The PTP is the most important tool on the job site. And that toolbox talk ranks right up there with it. Some companies, if it's up to me, it's once a week. I want to see it done on a Monday morning. I don't care. Use a job specific subject that you're on. If you've got a lot of fall hazards on your job, then talk about fall hazards. If you've got a lot of dropped object hazards, you're working on a lot of scaffolding and things like that, make that the subject, dropped objects and scaffolding. Monday morning, before you do the PTP, have that toolbox safety meeting and have a sign-in sheet, write the document. If you need a copy, if you need a blank copy of what a proper sign-in sheet looks like, send me a text. I'll forward something to you. I'll get you what you need. We can get together and I can help you through it. If you're a new supervisor or a new foreman, hey, I'd love giving people a leg up, training them how to do it right way, make an impression on their co-workers and on their leadership. I do this show every Monday morning at 5 a.m. Because I like getting up and getting out there and trying to be face to face with as many people as possible. But I truly believe in building people up. And that's what I want to be a tool, one of the tools that you use for personal success. So keep that in mind. The toolbox safety topic, if properly documented, can help satisfy the OSHA requirement of continuing education for safety. Now, you can throw other things in there like new company policies and all that as a part of the meeting, but the main focus to satisfy that OSHA requirement of continuing education has to be on safety. And it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, and then you can have 5 minutes of policy change for the company, whether, payroll change, HR edict coming down, a new safety requirement that the company has established. You can add all that in, but just make sure you document it. And in the sign-in sheet I have for you has topics discussed and a date and signature lines and all that. But if you need that, reach out, send me a chat. and we'll get you set up. Whoo! All right, is it coffee time yet? 5:25 in the morning. Send me a chat. Let me know where you're headed in the chats. Let me know what trades you're in. Let me know what part of the country you're working in. It's 5:30 on the East Coast. It means it's 4:30 Central, 3:30 Mountain, and 2:30 Pacific. You might be working a night shift. I don't know. Send me a chat and tell me what's going on in your world. What kind of interesting subject? Are you on the Gulf Coast working in the refineries? Are you in the Western country doing some mining operation? Are you up in the East somewhere doing some logging operation? Are you in a big city doing demolition work? Are you in a big city getting for a big concrete pour first thing this morning? Let me know. Heck, send me some pictures, man. I want to see that stuff. I know everybody goes to Facebook, everybody goes to LinkedIn, and that's fine and dandy. I'm on there too. You can find me there as well. Middleclassbubba. Or my name, Scott Langford. You can find me in those places too, but I'm just trying to vie for a little more of your time in a live scenario where we can talk about it when you need it. Hey, if through the day you have a concern, you could have my email address available. I keep it up there. If you want to send me a picture or a question, you got a challenge in front of you and you'd like to have an opinion before you go to your supervisor on how to handle it, I'll be there. I'll give you ideas. I won't say it'll be the perfect one, but it'll be, I can be a bouncing board, and we can talk about it. If you're a company and you need help with that kind of stuff, send me an email. We'll get together. We'll get something going and help you improve your safety record. Anyway, enough of that crazy talk. Anybody I'd like to hear a good joke, good, clean construction joke. I try to come up, I asked Pluriforia to help me come up with something for Monday mornings for a kind of a laugh break. But she or I don't know the funniest things in the world. And after a half a year of doing these, the well starts to run dry. To go in and frack that devil and get some more out of it, or let Pluriforia frack that humor well and come up with some different humor. But you know how construction workers are. We like to laugh and have a good time. So if you've got a funny, something you think it'll get somebody's funny bone, send it over in the chats. Tell the old joke, do it through the old chat thing there, and help us refill the humor well. But anyway, lighten the mood before somebody starts documenting the coffee break as continuing education. This morning we're going to talk about how to properly drink coffee and how we brew it, whether it requires 1 tablespoon per 4-ounce cup or 2 tablespoons per 8-ounce cup, and the proper temperature of the water that needs to pass through the grounds to optimize the extraction of the essential elements held within the coffee. Yeah, I can do it. Speaking of coffee, let me change out my tobacco and get a hit on this coffee. I've been up an hour and a half now, and this is my first sip of coffee, and it smells good, man. Black coffee. Now, on weekends, I'll have some cream and sugar in it, but during the week, it's black. And it'll take me all day to finish this, and sometimes I don't even finish it. Oh, yeah. I can taste it and I can feel it. Where were we? We was we was fixing to tell us, got some indigestion. Old worker, he asked the safety manager, why I need hearing protection. Safety manager replied, so you can still hear your grandchildren someday. The worker said, what's that? Yeah, I know, that's silly. I just want to put some of that background up. All right, here's another one. A superintendent yelled across the site. Did you attend the toolbox talk this morning? The worker yelled back. I couldn't hear it over the toolbox talk from yesterday. Wow. Help me understand that one. Try to get that background noise right. And one more. An apprentice asked an old timer, how did you become such a skilled carpenter? The old timer replied, by making every mistake twice. The apprentice asked, twice? Old timer nodded. The first time was practice. The second time because I thought I knew better. Yeah, ain't that the darn truth? Hey, listen. And I know you don't want to hear about it. You get sick and tired of hearing about it, but it's important. And that's why you hear about it all the time. Let's talk about service and maintenance of tools and equipment. This morning, the tools and tricks segment is focused on something every professional understands. Take care of your equipment. Construction workers rely on tools every single day. And every tool eventually tells the truth about how it's been treated. I can do it. I look at it. You do too. You know. You think a well-worn tool is a sign of a lot of work. And it could be. But it could also be a reflection of negligence. And a neglected tool becomes unreliable. If you just throw your battery-operated saw in the back of the truck and it gets rained on, it gets constant UV rays pounded on it, you go to pick it up in a moment of need and it fails. So now where you're at? Somebody got to go get you a new saw. Somebody got to spend 10, 20, 30 minutes trying to get it going again. An unreliable tool becomes inefficient. And then if you get that saw running, the battery may be degraded because it's been exposed to the elements, and it may not spin to the speed it needs, and it becomes inefficient. So a task a task that would have taken 1 minute, and all of a sudden it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even longer. They end up having to go get a whole new saw. An inefficient tool can become dangerous. I see it like a mushroomed chisel head. Is it efficient? Yeah, I guess it's efficient. But a piece of that mushroom with a proper placed hammer strike could send a chip of that mushroomed head off, traveling at the speed of a .22 bullet, and hit somebody and cause an injury. Inefficient tools take longer. That it's what they say, that a dull knife is far more dangerous than a sharp knife. So inefficient tools can become dangerous. And regular maintenance, that's something that gets overlooked a lot. The employer's got plenty of money, he can go get another one. So they never change the oil in the air compressor. They never grease the skid steer. They never top off the hydraulic in a excavator. They never pump up the tracks on an excavator. But regular maintenance provides several things. It provides better performance, a longer service life, reduced downtime, which also leads to increased productivity, and also improved safety. Now, simple inspections, they can really matter. Check your power cords. I know that we're getting further and further away from power cords with the advancement of battery power, which is a good thing, but you're still got a power cord charging those batteries. And if that power cord gets damaged or broken, all of a sudden, you could be dead in the water if you're charging 5 or 6 batteries off a battery terminal. All of a sudden, your batteries ain't charged, and you got a guy with a skill saw, a guy with a nail gun, a guy with a drill, and a guy with something else. All of a sudden, they ain't got no battery for their equipment because the power cord that was running the charger got left across a walkway, got tripped over, bent the prongs, broke the prongs, got something dropped on it and cut it, and on and on again. Checking your guards. I see a grinder guard off, and I'll stop to work. Hey, man, how come? Well, I can't get into. I'm looking at the work you're doing, and a grinder guard wouldn't prevent you from doing what you're doing. Now, I have seen a couple situations where a welder is in a tight spot on a track hoe, and he just couldn't get in there with that grinder guard attached. No matter how he spun it around, just wasn't enough clearance, and he had to clean that area so he could lay in a new weld. And we talked about it, and we made some concessions. Say, okay, if you need to do that little bit of grinding to get that area cleaned up, go ahead, take that guard off. But when you're done with that, I need you to put that guard back on. And if anybody says anything to you, tell them to come see me. Now, don't let them catch you using it 20 minutes later on another project that the guard wouldn't have interfered with the work. that don't let me do that because I'm going to be very specific about what you're doing here. So guards and handles. You seen a hammer drill with half a handle broke off. The old boy's trying to hold it with 2 fingers and put his full body weight on it and keep it straight. Jeez, man, go get you another handle. I don't know where one's at. Well, you'll find one if I tell you can't do any more work. They'll find one. Fluid levels. Boy, I tell you what, fluid levels. And it's the small equipment too that mostly has an issue with the fluid levels, the air compressors, the chainsaws, the cut-off saws. They just grab it out of the truck, gas on it, yank on it till it cranks, go to work. Heavy equipment operators now, they're a different story. They normally, most of the ones I work with know they better be checking fluid levels because I might walk by and pop the hood and check it myself. Hydraulic hoses, something you need to check. Are they cracked? Are they leaking? Leaking at the fitting. Is one damaged and looks like it's about to wear through and pump all kinds of hydraulic out? Checking the V-belts on equipment, skid steers, track hose, pickup trucks, airlines on air compressors, especially if you're using big pneumatic chipping hammers with Chicago fittings. Man, you need to check those airlines. You break one of those devils, you got a daggum tiger flapping around in the wind that could knock the fool out of anybody. It could kill somebody. And safety devices, you see guys who pin back the circular saw guards, disable a pneumatic nailer guard, all that stuff. And another thing is clean your equipment on a regular basis. Now, people look at my pickup truck, and I bet I ain't washed it in the years that I've owned it. I figure it gets washed when it rains. And they say, "Man, why don't you wash that truck?" I say, "I'm protecting the paint." But if you look at my brakes, you look at my tire pressures, you look at my engine compartment, the engine may be dusty, but you check the filters, they're clean. It gets a regular oil change and a regular tire rotation. When a light comes up on my pickup truck, I'm getting it taken care of because I don't want to be stranded anywhere. I don't put a piece of black tape on the engine light when it comes on. I pull the codes and figure out what's wrong with it and take it to my mechanic, and we talk about it, and he can tell that I'm somewhat mechanically inclined, and we'll work together. Sometimes I'll bring the part in and say, "Hey, man," I'll call and say, "I need this part replaced. I got the part. I need the oil change and tires rotated, and how much more would you charge me to put this part on?" Yeah. Couple dollars. I said, okay. So anyway, and lubricating movement parts. I talked earlier in the year about my little old tractor. I got out there before this year and checked all the fluids in it. It's a tad bit low on hydraulic, but it's still in the safety marks, and greased it up and did all that stuff and got it ready. Cleaned the filters and got it ready to go to work. Now it's at the 200 hour and it probably needs an oil change. So that'll be coming up. I may wait till fall. But the point is, clean your equipment regularly. You can't see if something's broken if it's dirty, coated in thick layers of mud. You may not see that leak. You may not see that cut in the belt. Lubricate the moving parts, grease. In the demolition business, if them pins, boy, they take a beating, that heavy equipment, that is the heaviest wear point. And if you're not flushing that, greasing that pin and pushing that dirt out, you'll wear out the pen, the journals, and everything else. And then when it goes down, you're talking about a major repair. But anyway, make sure you replace the worn component before a failure occurs. What is a worn component? It could be a bushing, a bearing, a belt. It could be any kind of component. Make sure you replace it before failure occurs. Don't wait until the machine breaks. Now, I tell my heavy equipment operators, some of them ain't mechanics, don't know nothing about it. And I say, this thing about broke. I said, did you document it on your inspection? Oh yeah. I said, did you send your inspection over to the maintenance? Yeah. I keep doing it. Just keep sending it. And if you do it every day and then there's a failure, then that monkey ain't on your back. If a supervisor says, hey man, I need you to keep going, you say, hey, this pen is awful sloppy. I can't be very accurate with my work, or whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden, your supervisor's in on the loop, and he says, well, go ahead, work on it, and I'll call maintenance. And if it breaks, then it's on the supervisor and the maintenance department. If it's going to be a catastrophic failure, and somebody could get hurt, you stand flat-footed and say, I ain't doing it. They won't. I've never known a company that'd fire an operator because he refused to operate a piece of unsafe equipment. They'll get mad at him and stomp around, and he may go home with a half a day of pay till they can get out there. And that don't even happen. They just reassign him. Here, go do this. Go clean the tool trailer. You got a machine operator making $45, $50, $55, $60 an hour. He's in there cleaning the break room and the air conditioning. But that's the way it shakes. The same principle applies to vehicles, generators, compressors, power tools, heavy equipment. And here's a lesson that's bigger than maintenance. People who care for their equipment tend to care for their work. And that is an absolute truth. I've known guys that would operate $1 million track hose that could reach 135 feet in the air. And they were very particular about their equipment. Matter of fact, they would have doormats and feet cleaners. They didn't want even muddy feet. And they have little whisk brooms. They'd get in their track hose. They know they're going to be there 4 or 5 hours, and they'll climb up in there. I've never seen one operate barefoot, getting there with flip-flops or nothing. There'd be some prohibition on that on a demo site or a construction site. But, the interior of the cab was spotless, and you could tell by his work that he was that way. Professionalism often reveals itself in small habits. The best operators I've ever known didn't abuse equipment. They respected it because they understood something simple. Well-maintained equipment helps create safe, timely, and efficient operations. All right, boy, we're clicking along here. It's 5:49 in the morning. Like to talk a little bit about what's on the channel this week. Right there. We're talking about hearing protection. It's a continuing part. We've done a section on fall protection, a 12-part series on fall protection. And now we're on part 5 in our PPE series, which is hearing protection. Hearing protection is one of the most common occupational illnesses in America. And the dangerous part is this: it happens slowly. No dramatic injury, no flashing warning light, no immediate pain, just gradual damage over time. Construction sites contain noise everywhere. Impact tools, heavy equipment. Here's one. So I may have told you about it. I've talked about it on, I don't know if I talked about it on this channel, but on another channel, that I've got a dirt road that leads up to the place. And we've got 4 neighbors up here on the hill, and it's a 7/10 of a mile of a gravel road. So, you know, we can either get together and pay somebody some money to come out here and do it, or I could take my little tractor, and I've got a couple attachments, a scrape box and a scrape blade, and I get out there and dress the ditches. And I'm out there working the other day, and I got the headphones on. It's got a little Bluetooth in it. I can sit there and listen to talk radio or music or whatever. My wife comes up the top of the driveway and gets on the road, and she was saying something, and I couldn't hear her, and I peeled the headphone back, and by God, that tractor was loud. I had to, after I took the headphone off, I had to almost walk to her car to hear what she had to say, to communicate with her. And I was like, wow. So these headphones really make a difference. These muffs, they're dual. You know, they had Bluetooth in them, but they're also hearing protection. And I was absolutely amazed at how loud that equipment was. And if you're out there and you don't have hearing equipment, well, your ears protect your brain, and they'll start shutting down on how much noise is getting through the audio nerve, the oral nerve. And you got little hairs in there that wiggle and transmit information, and transmit information through the nerve. But those can become damaged over time. And so when you're out there in the field, when you're working around these noisy equipment, impact tools, heavy equipment, generators, compressors, or grinding operations, or demolition activities, power saws, other industrial equipment, it's loud. And if you don't protect your ears, you think you're getting accustomed to it, but you're not. And now your hearing will come back. It's like going to a concert and your ears are ringing. Well, you've just damaged your hearing. Now that ringing will go away, but you've slightly decreased your ability to hear. And you do that over a number of years. You know, it'll come back, but it won't come back all the way. So this week's video, it covers noise exposure hazard, hearing protection options, whether it be plugs, earmuffs, both of them, proper fit, noise reduction ratings, OSHA requirements, and some common mistakes, and the long-term consequences of hearing loss. The goal isn't simply compliance. The goal is preserving your ability to hear conversations, hear your spouse. We think about that one, right, boys? Your children, your grandchildren, and enjoy life long after I started to say retirement. Enjoy life long after your retirement. Your hearing is valuable. Protect it accordingly. Okay? Important. You can go back and look at that script. Not sure that it covered all that adequately, but I'll go back and look at it. Anyway, well, it is 5:55. It is time to start signing this thing off. Friends, another Monday morning is underway. The sun is starting to climb. Trucks are rolling. You hear the radios crackling, catching the weather report on the radio. Your phones are ringing. Hey, boss man, what do we got? Where are we headed? What do we got going on? What do I need to bring? Or I'm running late, or you got to call somebody, say, hey, stop by and pick up. The busy morning has begun, I know. And another week of opportunity stands before us. Opportunity to become a master at what we do. And remember this week's lesson. Skill is earned in repetition. The things you do repeatedly become the things you become. Practice excellence. Practice awareness. Practice professionalism. Practice safety. And while you're building, protect your hearing. Participate in toolbox talks. Maintain your equipment. Look after your coworkers. And remember, the safest workers aren't usually the luckiest workers. They're the workers who consistently practice good habits. And from all of us, all of me here at Monday Morning Bubba, from me, and from the ever watchful Pluriforia, I see her looking at me over my right shoulder, smiling quietly from somewhere beyond the digital Appalachian Mountains. Thank you for spending part of your morning with us. Be safe, be timely, be efficient. Now, let's go build something worthwhile. Have a wonderful week. Construction Safety OSHA. Have a wonderful week. And remember, have a grateful day. Have a grateful week. And we'll see you next time.